All right, I'm back. Part 2 of why teachers won't take your feedback seriously. Thank you for those who are coming back into the space. We were talking about solution number 1. Solution number 1 to actually solve the problems of why teachers won't take your feedback seriously. You need to grow your expertise. Grow your expertise as a lifelong learner. Lifelong learners should be prioritizing culturally responsive teaching. It's not just a buzzword. And that's why in our Leading with Soul cohort, and enrollment is still open for that, by the way. But that's why we focus on lifelong learners. Like, what does it mean to be a lifelong learner? How can I be doing that? And here's the gag, like Kiki says. The gag is, if you're not a lifelong learner, if you're not engaged in continuously growing your craft, then how can you expect the teachers to actually take in what you're talking about? Why would they? Why would they take in your suggestions for this kind? Okay, I think I got it. Why would they take in your suggestions for this type of strategy, this type of, okay, I'm trying to put this in there. All right, there's the comment again. Why would they take into effect, thank y'all for coming back. Why would they take into consideration the feedback you're giving about them trying something new or learning something new, and that's not what you're modeling, right? Our framework as Scholars for the Soul is embody, model, and share. You cannot share the strategies out to your teacher teams and expect them to pick up what you're putting down, and you're not modeling, you're not embodying what it means to be a lifelong learner. So if you want teachers to take your feedback seriously, openly be discussing what you are learning more about. What conference are you attending? What free webinars or paid webinars are you going out and engaging in? What independent learning things are you taking on to actually be better? You got to be vulnerable and open about that. Talk about how it's a little frustrating to learn something new. Talk about how you're trying something new with them and you want to partner with them to see how it's working well, because you're trying to be better as their instructional leader. So if you want them to take that feedback seriously from you, they got to know that you know your stuff. Here's an example. Today I was doing some teacher coaching, which is why I'm still dressed at almost 9 o'clock at night, and it's been a busy day. But I was doing an instructional coaching session with one of the campuses for a district that I'm contracted with. And I talked with one of the teachers, because we've got really strong relationships. We've been doing this all year long. It's been a whole year together. And she was so excited to show me some of the work her kids had did. Second grade, the Canva presentations that she had, the young people choose what they were going to do about it. I mean, one second grader, I'm just going to brag on her, had a whole avatar. I don't even know how to use the avatars to speak my presentation for me in Canva yet. Baby, a second grader. And they worked on these in class. They worked on these and figured these things out. I'm jealous. I'm very jealous. I was like, yeah. So as I was talking to her, she was talking about leaving the profession. And if you saw my stories, I talked about this. She was like, I'm thinking about not coming back, but I actually have, last year I thought about not coming back. And this year I've actually got a renewed hope. Like working with you coming in and coaching with us every month, and working with my teammates and really building strong bonds with them has really, really given me that confidence, right? Because the work we've been doing in culture, normalizing culturally responsive teaching, she has seen the benefits. She has seen her students do these things and be so engaged with these presentations. She was like, this was one of the first times I didn't have to pull teeth. She said the kids were excited. Then they were asking me about their Black history figures and facts, and was it connected to somebody else's, and this time period they learned about in another subject. Like, they were making all kind of connections. Thank you, Brooke. I'm trying. I tried. And that gave her hope. And because she said, when you come in, Dr. Battles, you know your stuff. Because they'll give me situations. I'll ask them what's going on. We'll talk through some different protocols that I use. And I'll learn the things that are troubling them, the things that are giving concern to them, or the things that are downright frustrating them, that they can't seem to break the barrier with their students. And we're looking at the strong instruction. And it's all based on how the brain learns and uses culture as leverage to really maximize the power of the brain. But I'm able to do this, number one, because I don't stop learning. Even though I'm Dr. Mel, I'm always learning. I'm attending somebody's conference. I'm attending somebody's online, because there's a few providers that have different monthly and even weekly. Some of these folks are putting out webinars all the time about different things that are working in their classrooms. Like, I'm even learning from teachers. I don't want to just learn from folks who are like me, who are actually consultants and have left the school bill. I need to see what are the genius teachers actually doing that's actually working, right? So I'm always that lifelong learner, and I'm talking to them about the whole journey of that. I'm growing my expertise as a lifelong learner, and they're seeing how valuable that is, right? How valuable that is. And because they see how valuable it is, they're more willing to take on that identity themselves. And the more we connect on those topics and those conversations about lifelong learning, I'm building this bond with my teacher teams that I'm working with. And I'm working with from K all the way up to 5 at this particular campus. So, and we're talking literacy to math, and I'm giving them all the tools, right? Because I'm consistently tapped in. Number 2, what can you do to get teachers to take your feedback seriously? Create SMART goals connected to data. If you're not creating these small, and when I say SMART goals, I don't mean they've got to be a long paragraph and little pamphlet. Create a SMART goal, something that's very specific, right? How can they chunk their lesson more appropriately so they're not inducing cognitive overload, right? So what does that mean? We're going to work on how they can unpack the standard, how they can look at the steps towards proficiency, and then create a mini lesson for each of those steps and assess before, assess during, assess after. See what's working. Okay, maybe nobody got it. Maybe somebody got it. Let me talk to the kids. What part did you not understand? Was this boring? Was this too complex? Did I still have too much cognitive load? Were the directions? Because a lot of times we can be doing things to build executive functioning skills. How could I have chunked those instructions so they were more accessible to the young person? How could I have created a checklist so instead of me having to be on their shoulder, they have to present me? I used to create little checklists, cut out, staple it, and they had to physically check, sometimes color code. When I was doing writing, argumentative writing was really challenging for my 8th graders, especially when you talk about rebuttals and counterclaims. So I had them, we used to color code. Get those highlighters. Let's go in. I need you to find, you create your own key. You can do your own colors. Put that key up there in the top. Now you go through and you identify each part. And if you can't identify it, you may be missing it, right? And what other examples of what a rebuttal looks like. Example of what a counterclaim looks like, right? Checklist of what's in a counterclaim. These resources to help them do what? Be those independent learners and thinkers. That's the goal of culturally responsive teaching. My instruction is so on point that all I've got to do is give them the water. They know how to drink it by themselves. I don't have to tell them, put your head down here. Now let's, and this is metaphorically, lap it up, drink it up. I don't have to do that. I don't have to do that. Because I'm building executive functioning as I go. This is the kind of specific feedback. This is the kind of SMART goal you can be connecting to the data that you're seeing. The data that says in the last lesson, for example, with this school, another school I'm working with this, what did she use? She used movement to articulate the writing process. And I think they're doing expository writing. So they had different body movements to remember the flow and organization of the writing. And what she was able to tell me was, I had this many students who normally would not engage and were synonymous, like it was going to be predicted that their heads would be down during instruction. I could always see these kids' heads down during instruction. Now she was able to say, after I tried these Ignite strategies we talked about, those same 5 kids that are consistently disengaged, heads down, not focused, they were the most engaged. I said, what did their faces look like? They had smiles on their faces. They were laughing. They were actually moving their bodies. Then they actually took the movement, the instructional strategy that we're using based on the data that these students would not be engaged. I can now see that those 5 students actually were the most engaged. They were the loudest. Their bodies were moving the most. That's the data that's going to give, here we go, your teachers the confidence to know that this work works. This is why. This is what I'm saying. If you're not building your teachers' confidence and their competence, you're going to keep cycling through this same conversation. I came in and evaluated. I observed you and I noticed this. Why don't you try that? And you see nothing. And so we keep doing the same thing, the same way, expecting something different in these classrooms, and we're wasting time. You're wasting your time, you're wasting teachers' time, and you're wasting the young people's time. And if you've seen the literacy rates in Arkansas, we're at 30% of our students are actually reading at or above grade level. What does that mean to me? We don't have time to waste. We don't have time to waste on instructional leadership, not really using your time to its highest potential. And that means you're giving the feedback that matters because you're connecting this SMART goal. Her goal was student engagement, right? She needed more. Some of these students wouldn't even try. You can't say I got a goal for them to reach this level or this percentage on this assignment, and they won't even do it. You got to start at engagement. How am I going to first get them engaged enough to even try to do the assignment and do it with heart, do it with soul, do it with intention? Then I can look and see, because now that factor is no longer a factor. I've got engagement. So now I know that there may be a comprehension issue. Maybe I've got to bring in some more visuals. Maybe I've got to bring in some sort of mnemonic device, right? These are all culturally responsive strategies, right? Because I'm not going to bring in something abstract to them. I'm going to make the mnemonic device something that connects to their hip hop music, the TikTok people they know, the YouTube, the anime, the soccer, the football. I'm going to connect these strategies, these visuals, these contextual examples. I'm going to connect it to their culture. But this is what you got to be telling your teachers. So if you're not able to give them those specific things and connect it to data, then you're not going to have them buy into your feedback. Our last one, I'm wrapping it up. Focus on building connection year long. If you want teachers to take your feedback seriously, people listen and respond, because they may listen, right? They may hear you audibly, but they actually take your words and your feedback seriously when they're connected to you soulfully. Let me say that again. Folks, meaning teachers, will take your feedback more seriously when they're connected to you soulfully. Does that mean you have to be BFFs? No. You don't have to be BFFs, but you need to be connected in a way where you respect one another's craft. You respect one another's genius, one another's expertise. And because you are this lifelong learner, because you are a soul scholar, because you are investing in your own professional growth, and they see that, and you're willing to take risk, you're willing to be vulnerable, right? This is building connection. You're willing to be vulnerable about how it feels to take risk. You're willing to let them know I don't have all the answers. Like I was coaching today, and one teacher wanted help with, she's got an acronym, and she wants help with how she can incorporate movement or sound to help them remember this acronym that they're going to use for a math in 5th grade. I said, well, let me think on it, right? I wrote down the acronym, what each part means, and she knows I'm going to take some time and think about it, and I'm going to respond with an audio, or I'm going to respond with a video, or I'm going to respond with some kind of visual anchor chart. But it doesn't mean I've got to know it right there in the moment, because I'm a human. I don't have all the answers. While they do brag and they love that I am great at ideation, I'm great at coming up with some great Yes, lyrical math. Thank you for saying that, Brooke. I'm gonna actually search that too. Look, let me put that in my notes, Brooke, so I don't forget. But while I'm saying those things, I'm able to lyrical math. And see, this is what I'm saying. I don't mind people helping me. Just because I got PhD at the end, those 3 letters doesn't mean I have stopped learning. And that's where you have to be as an instructional leader, right? You've got to be willing to let the light shine on some of your teachers. Let them get up and show what they've done. Show how they have. Let me know, because my phone is going down. So that's why it keeps popping in and out. Can y'all hear me? I think you can. I hope so. Let me know in the chat. Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? Oh, jeez. I hope so. Yes. Okay, thank you. All right. So, those 3 things, right? Focus on building connection year long. So this means, and I want to close out with this one. When you're talking about building connection, you are modeling how to build connection with your teacher teams all year long. So that means you do things unrelated to instruction. You maybe host events that are just connected to getting to know one another. Because the point of it is you want to build a strong teacher team where you can hold each other up. You can support one another. They can come into each other's classrooms and see some strategies at play. Give each other ideas. Ideate together, right? Go through the tough parts together. Maybe this teacher had this student last year and they can give them some sound advice on how to tap into the genius of that young person, right? There's a purpose behind building this connection and then building it with you, because remember, the goal is how can I activate the release of oxytocin, which is that bonding hormone that's going to help the teachers to take the risk. That cortisol, which is that fear and stress hormone, is going to say, no, don't do it. Fear is going to say, don't do it. Fear is going to say, fight it, flight it, freeze it, appease it. It's going to say those things. But because I have such a connection, I am able to do what? I am able to take the risk. Okay? So this is very important to me, this information. I still have the enrollment open. We pushed back our time to get into the Leading with Soul cohort to help out a few potential enrollees to get some things done and hopefully get some more folks into the cohort. But this is the kind of work. I went through it really fast today. And Brooke would be amazing. She would be an amazing instructional leader. And I agree with that, Huey. But I pushed it back, and enrollment is still open because this is the kind of work that we are doing consistently in that cohort. It's our 6-week group coaching program. And we're taking you through these things because if you're an instructional leader and you don't understand, number one, your own identity and espousing cultural humility, being a lifelong learner, identifying and working to unpack and dismantle systems of oppression in your school that are upholding instructional inequity, right? It's upholding the stuff that's keeping the gaps going. It's upholding the stuff that's stopping some young people from actually learning and learning well. It's the stuff that's stopping that. If we don't know, and if we're not tapped into that space of growth, we can't be the instructional leaders that the teachers need to stay in the classroom, to thrive in the classroom, to get through the tough times together. So that's why we talk about cultural humility. I talk about how to build a strong teacher team through emotional intelligence and resilience. Strategically, what does that look like? How can you plan a scope and sequence where we're tapping into emotional intelligence and resilience in every conversation? In every PLC, like it's interwoven because we're connecting the soul to learning. We're not just acting like teachers are robots and they just need to get over it and figure it out. No, we're actively valuing our emotional capacity and doing that by being emotionally aware of where we are and where we need to be so that we can be the best at where we are or take rest when we need to take rest. doing what we need to do. And then we get into, in the cohort, how to actually use culturally responsive teaching and make it the norm in your building. It shouldn't just be a QPD. I'm sorry, y'all. It just shouldn't be something fun like, okay, I've got a whole lesson. Now I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of cultural responsiveness. I saw with one of the schools I'm working with their curriculum, and it was a small little paragraph in their curriculum, right? And that's sad, Brooke. It was a small part in their curriculum. Here's how to add in a little bit of cultural responsiveness. No, it should be the way. It's the way. It's the truth. It's the light, right? It's given divine. It's given, this is the way that our young people learn the best. It is the way they engage the best, right? And so that's what we do in the Leading with Soul cohort. And I would love for you to join it. So if you are interested, send me a DM. You can just send the letters LWS. I'll send you over some information about that cohort and see if it's a good fit for you, so that you can hopefully join us and grow your capacity as an instructional leader. Don't go to sleep on them yet, Brooke. Stay woke. Stay woke, Brooke. I appreciate y'all for tapping in and being with me. Again, share the live with any of our instructional leaders who could use this. And don't forget to get the freebie that is connected in the comments there. It's the bit.ly. Y'all know bit.ly. Feedback checklist. And it should pop up a page. You'll enter your information and you'll be able to download that file. All right. Thank you all. Y'all have a great night, and we will holler at you later.